Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Osborne, the director of the Stewart House Museum. Welcome to another season of Front Porch Fridays. This episode is the first in a series that explores the development of third places for women. During the summer, we typically spend more time away from home. Your favorite place to relax or socialize might be a coffee shop or a restaurant. Or if you're a nerd like me, it might be the public library. We often refer to these spaces as third places. They're not our homes, nor are they our workplaces. They're where we spend our leisure time. Now, imagine for a minute that your free time is totally restricted. Your home is where you spend the majority of your time, but when you leave it, you are seldom unaccompanied. Doing something such as shopping alone or eating in a restaurant would be very, very rare. Well, that was the status quo for women in the 1800s, until tea rooms came along. Before I launch into how they arose, I need to explain some of my terminology. For the purpose of this episode, when I use the term woman or women, I am referring to middle and upper class white women in urban locations for the most part. In the 19th century, the woman's sphere of influence, or her space, was the home. The man's sphere, on the other hand, was everything else, the world of business and politics. Men, therefore, required a third place where they could blow off steam and what we would call decompress. That third space was typically a bar, a saloon, or a tavern. So here they escaped from the pressures of work and relaxed. They built camaraderie with one another. It was also common for bars to be the site of business transactions. For these reasons, some historians consider bars to be symbols of male power. Women, in fact, did not patronize bars until well after the end of Prohibition. So you might be asking yourself, what was women's third place or third places? Well, in the 19th century, or mid-19th century, I should say, women had the option of visiting something called a ladies' ordinary. Ladies' ordinaries grew out of a demand by consumers. The Industrial Revolution was progressing, and with it, the middle class began to grow. People had more disposable income, and they wanted a way to spend it. So ladies who were out shopping couldn't easily travel the distance home for lunch. And the first ladies' ordinary opened in 1833 in New York. Restaurants were also starting to appear in this era. One of the first was Delmonico's in New York City. These restaurants were modeled after those in Paris. Although inns and boarding houses served food, restaurants differed in that they offered a selection of food, privacy, service, and flexible hours. Early restaurants, particularly those in hotels, created separate private spaces for unaccompanied, well-to-do women. They even had their own entrances. The rationale for this segregation was to separate the so-called quote-unquote respectable women from those who might have had liaisons with male customers. Despite these boundaries, menus remained the same. Entrees included such dishes as kidneys, mutton, veal cutlets, and rice cakes. And over time, menus became more elaborate as people's palates became more refined and as the class and incomes of customers improved. The end of the Civil War brought change to the dining landscape. War breaks down barriers and, with it, social and gender norms. During the post-war civil years, a new demographic of women workers appeared. I'm going to cover the rise of lunch counters and cafeterias in the next episode. But for now, you need to know that sales clerks and secretaries needed places to lunch, and they needed the option of quick, easy to prepare meals. Thus, tea rooms were born, and later lunch counters in the 19 teens and 1920s. So tea rooms catered to women with money to spend. They were typically located in hotels or department stores on the building's top floor, away from customers. They were exclusive spaces for elite women, both in the furnishings and in the food and beverages served. Their menus typically consisted of coffee, sandwiches, dessert, notably ice cream, and of course, tea. These comestibles were also plated in a feminine way with parsley or lettuce garnishes and served on bone china. The decor conveyed a sense of refinement with marble columns, glass ceilings, and carefully placed potted palms and delicate floral motifs. At the same time tea rooms were opening, the print culture was exploding. Household guides and cookbooks, whose target audiences were women, began to include suggested menus for women's gatherings. Recipes for vol au vents, chicken salad, fruit, and chocolatey desserts became popular. Well-known tea rooms in the well-known tea rooms included the Emporium and the Pig and Whistle in San Francisco. Some of them operated well into the 20th century. Ellis Ayres, a department store in Indianapolis, closed its tea room in 1992. Later, the Indiana State Museum recreated the tea room as its own exhibit, and you can still find recipes for its famous chicken velvet soup pictured there on the right. You may be wondering, did small towns like Monmouth, Illinois, or rural communities have anything like tea rooms? Well, Monmouth had a number of confectionaries and dining rooms in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Most were located in the main arteries through town or on the square. The 1903 city directory even lists a woman's exchange on South First Street. The women's exchange movement dates back to the 1830s, so around the time of the first restaurants, at least in New York, and coincides with the women's exchange movement dates back to the 1830s, so along the same the women's exchange movement dates back to the 1830s and coincides with the rise of restaurants. They were a philanthropic endeavor set up by women for women. These establishments sold embroidery and sewing, which allowed women to earn their own incomes without leaving their homes. Women from a range of classes who had to become self-supporting benefited from these endeavors. A number of exchanges also added tea rooms and lunchrooms as another source of revenue. Upper-class women were known to frequent them and think of them as their own third place. Because Front Porch Fridays typically debut in the summer, I've also included a recipe and some context for one of the iconic drinks that appeared in tea rooms and later in drugstores. And that is the egg cream. An egg cream consists of seltzer, milk, and chocolate syrup. There are no eggs nor cream. So you're probably wondering, well, why is it called an egg cream? The short answer is no one really knows, but there are a couple of theories as to the name's origins. Anecdotal evidence indicates that the egg cream was born in the 1880s on New York's Lower East Side. The actor, pictured there on the right, Boris Tomaszewski, was introducing the first Yiddish play to the city at the time. He allegedly tried a drink in Paris called a chocolat et crème. When he asked for the same in a restaurant in New York, the staff interpreted chocolat et crème as chocolate egg cream. Others claim that the name is derived from the concoction's foam, which resembles whipped egg whites. According to popular tradition, a Jewish candy store owner named Louis Oster created the first egg cream in his Brooklyn shop during the early 1900s. And here's a fun fact for you longtime viewers of Front Porch Friday. Louis Oster's shop was located about 3 miles from Dr. Mary Crawford's home. You may recall Dr. Crawford was a Kappa from Cornell, who was one of the first American women physicians to treat soldiers in France during the First World War. Whatever its exact origins, it's clear that the egg cream has deep roots in New York. In fact, many New Yorkers are adamant that you cannot make a proper egg cream without Fox's You Bet chocolate syrup, which has been around since the early 1900s. And thanks to the magic of Amazon, you can also order You Bet's the You Bet. And thanks to the magic of Amazon, you can order Fox's You Bet chocolate syrup to make your own egg creams. Here I've provided the recipe that I have used in the past to make the egg cream. You can find that recipe on what'scookingamerica.com. Now, for some bonus content. In the coming weeks, I am going to drop a video of our museum mascot, my dog Harry, trying a dog-friendly version of an egg cream. So stay tuned for that footage. Now, in the next regular episode, which will be available sometime in July, I will explore the establishment of lunch counters, another type of third space for women. Okay, take care. Until then, bye now.